Hello everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Please excuse the current model. I know it's way stiffer than I normally have, but since I made a new design, I do not have an updated PNG yet. So, hope this works alright for now. At least until I update my PNG. Okay. So, this is not a video I thought I would be making, but I'm going to do it anyways. I wanted to make a video giving some college tips and some info that I wish I had known before college. Just for reference, I just finished college and am working on transferring to a university, so I feel like I'm at least somewhat qualified to talk about this. And I hope this helps someone who is college bound or university. I don't know if this applies to university, so may make a follow-up if I notice any differences or that's requested. Now some quick disclaimers. Things vary a lot between the states, which is where I live. So some of this may not work for everyone. I tried to keep it pretty generalized, but again, things vary a lot depending on country, and at least here in the US, it varies a lot between the states, because I noticed a lot of differences between me and my friend Brooke, who lives in a completely different state, like plain right away different. I would also like to say I'm a good student. I maintain mostly A's. Like, I'm not just talking bad about college because I did poorly or anything. I actually did well. And also, my education was a bit different, and I've noticed that has most likely caused some differences in how college impacted me compared to others. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or go to someone who knows how something works in your area, or just a trusted person, or just look it up. I would also like to say that the college I attended was a community college, so I don't know how that impacts differences. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's get on with general tips, or just general information, I guess. I really hope this helps someone out there. Okay, so first things first, this one is specific to the US. Other countries might have something similar, but I'm not sure. So, sorry to any non-US viewers. So if you are worried about tuition costs, I strongly recommend that you fill out the FAFSA form. It's a federal, I believe it's federal. It's a financial aid form that opens you up to grants, loans, scholarships, any sort of financial aid. And this really helps a lot with cutting down the cost of tuition. I was not initially going to fill it out, but it was part of my high school graduation requirements. And the grant money that I get from filling that out cuts the cost of college tuition a lot. So rather than paying thousands of dollars, I'm only paying hundreds. If that. It depends. Sometimes I get more, sometimes I get less. But my college was a quarter-based college, so that's why it varies. But yeah, I really recommend that you fill it out, even if you don't think you'll get much from it. Because I didn't think I would, but I got a lot more than I thought I would. So fill it out. It'll help. Second point is going to sound a bit silly, but at least skim the syllabus. You're going to want to definitely check class materials. You'll want to check the grading policy or rubric, and you will definitely want to know the late assignment policy. Those are kind of the main things that you want to look out for. Because assignments for the duration of that class isn't always in the syllabus, and so you can't really always look for that. But class materials, grading, and late assignment policies are always listed and always good information to know. And this comes from personal experience. I didn't really read the syllabus often, and I had some surprise reading and paper assignments that I probably would have known about if I had read the syllabus. Also, it's just really good to know what your teacher's grading policy is, because then you know how to structure your assignments. This is going to sound really bad, but a lot of teachers will be really petty and will mark you down over the smallest things. So you want to know what the grading policy is to try to avoid as many possible deductions in your overall grade for assignments and stuff. And the late policy is just really good information to know, so that you know how much leeway you have in assignment dates. But generally, I would advise you to stay on track with your assignments, but stuff can happen, so it's good to know what's going to happen if you turn an assignment in late. Which leads us to the next point. Do your assignments. This should be pretty self-explanatory, but I saw so many people getting called out for not doing assignments. So I'm here to tell you, do them. Do your assignments. And do them on time or ahead of time. It's just less stress to you if you do them on time or ahead of time. But yeah, most teachers will dock you a lot of points the longer you go past the due date. Sometimes, even if it's a day late, you can lose like half of the overall grade. I even saw one teacher put in the syllabus that they would drop you from the class if you reached a certain late penalty. I don't remember if that was just like right off the bat, or if you just reached a certain amount of days without an assignment, but it was mentioned. It was a while ago, so I don't remember the exact wording of it, but it was. I remember seeing that and being shocked at seeing that. But yeah, that's why you need to read the late penalty and why you should at least skim the syllabus so you know about that. Because yeah, it will be less stressful for you if you stay on track with your assignments. And if possible, work ahead in them. Because if you get sick, it's good to have the, I guess, cushion room of you don't have assignments due yet because you worked ahead. I don't know. But the downside to that brings us to the next point of if you have online classes, teachers can lock assignment accessibility, or at least in my college they could. And they could also just post assignments whenever. Meaning they can stop you from working ahead by making the assignment accessible only after a certain date. So say it's, I don't know, May 13th, and you see you have an assignment on May 15th, for lack of originality, sorry. But you will click on the assignment and it'll say assignment locked until the 15th, meaning you won't be able to see what the assignment is about or do anything for it until the 15th when the assignment becomes unlocked. Generally, they will not have it locked until the day it's due. That was just for sake of explaining the lock feature. Generally, they will open it up a few days beforehand, but that's just a generalization and isn't always necessarily true, unfortunately. Teachers can also just post assignments whenever they feel like it. So if you have a way to be notified of new assignments being posted, make sure to keep that on. While they generally will not post a new assignment the day it's due, it's just good to have that on so that you know that a new assignment is coming up. Also related to that, teachers can give any due date they want. Again, at least with my college. So if that means you have to do school on a weekday or federal holiday, they are somehow allowed to do that. At least in my state. And my guess is probably just because they set the due date for that day. That doesn't actually mean you have to do it that day. You can turn it in ahead of time. But that's not always the case, so I don't know. They should not be allowed to do that. I had to spend way too many weekends or holidays doing schoolwork because I could do that, and that just doesn't seem right. But any due date also includes time frame. Most of my teachers would set the due date to 11:59 p.m. of the day they wanted it due, but some would have assignments due at 9 a.m. or 12 p.m. So pay close attention to the times as well with the due dates. Next point, kind of a hot take. I probably really should not be saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you have questions, don't ask the teacher. I know it makes sense to ask them, and if I were at my middle school, I would ask them, but my experience with college teachers, don't ask them questions unless you can ask them in person. They are not quick about responding to emails or anything short of, I guess, calling them. I don't know, I never called a teacher. And oftentimes, you don't actually get the answer you were looking for, or you'll get kind of a vague, half-baked answer. So just look up your question, ask a tutor or trusted adult, if you want actual answers or help. Because in my experience, teachers are not going to actually help you with that. For example, the quarter I just finished up, I had a class where the teacher was like, oh, just turn in your thing with questions if you have them and I'll get back to you. And I'd do that and they would just be like, you didn't fill this out. You got that wrong. You're missing this. And a vague answer, if I got an answer at all to the question. So, yeah, just don't bother with the teachers. It's not worth it, because most of them don't find you worth their time, unfortunately. So this next point is kind of up in the air on if this will be helpful or not. But I didn't know this before entering college, so I don't know if this is common knowledge and I just didn't know it because of the way my education was, or if this isn't common knowledge. I don't know. But I didn't know this, so I'm going to say it because hopefully it helps someone else know this. But colleges do have an honor roll of sorts. So if your grade point average or GPA is high enough, you make the honor roll, and it makes your transcripts look really good, supposedly. I haven't actually gotten to test that part out yet. So my college honor roll thing was the vice president's or president's list. Basically, you had to have a 3-point-something GPA to a 3.99 GPA or something to make the VP list, and then basically a 4-point GPA was the president's list. But my friend Brooke mentioned that her school called it the dean's list. So I think what it's called varies depending on school and state. Again, Brooke lives in a different state from me, so there were a lot of differences between our colleges. But we also have very different learning abilities. We learn differently and had different education ways. So yeah, related to the honor roll, if you make the honor roll enough times or generally have good grades, you could, I think it's related to the honor roll though, you can get an invitation to join an honor society, which could potentially help with schooling as they do offer scholarships and various things. I was not applicable for scholarships. I generally will not be, as a white person who comes from a middle income family. So I generally do not qualify for anything like that. But I've been told that honor societies do look good on transcripts and resumes. So if that is true or something you're interested in, try to get good grades. Which brings us to our next point, which is pretty obvious, but your GPA, your grade point average, matters. It honestly really does. So try your best in your classes. Try not to take it more than you can handle. I think the amount of credits you're allowed to take can vary between part-time and full-time. So pay attention to that. Just pay attention to class credits because not all classes will have the same credit opportunity. I've had classes with 7 credits available or as low as 3 credits available. For my college, the quarterly worked in quarters rather than semesters, so 5 credits per class was kind of the average. The 7 and 3 credit were kind of the odd ones out. So credits may vary between schools. So just kind of pay attention to credits and research what's needed in your state or country to meet certain requirements that you may need. Yeah, that's all I can think of at this time. So hope this helps someone, and if you have any questions or would like a follow-up video, just put that in the comments. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I'm trying to transfer to a university, so if I notice any major differences, I will probably make a follow-up video anyways with that, just to note differences. See if university is really all that different. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.